It wasn't easy to go through the death of my parents. It wasn't easy to start a national ministry. None of those things were easy. It wasn't easy to parent alone for many years. And if I'm being very honest with you, it's not easy to be standing here with this microphone in my hand because frankly, I've been doing it for 10 years and every single time I take the stage, I'm just shaking in my boots whenever I get up here. There are some of you that are facing things you never expected to face. And my hope for you today, my hope for me and my hope for every woman from the front to the back of this place is that you will learn what it is to walk from strength to strength. That you would learn what it truly is to walk from glory to glory and mountaintop to mountaintop. Because, even Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. So when it comes our way, why are we surprised about it? Why are we just stunned when Satan attacks us? Whenever it's hard, whenever it gets tough, you need to thank God that you're in the right position for a miracle. There are things that He wants to do in your life. And when you get to the other side of whatever it is you're going through, and you will get to the other side of whatever it is that you're going through, there is a blessing on the other side of it. And there's going to be a single mom there that's going to look at you because she's beginning that same journey. And you're going to be able to tell her some things that nobody else would be able to tell her. My hope this weekend is that God shows up and does what you don't even know how to ask Him for yet. My hope for you this weekend is that there are things going on in your life that perhaps you've suppressed for many years. Maybe there's an abuse from the past. Maybe there's a brokenness. Maybe there's some disappointment that you've been suppressing and telling everybody it's okay. My hope for you is that God would show up and do the thing that you didn't even ask Him for yet. And that you would learn what it is to walk in His strength. In fact, I've had single moms say to me many times, I've tried that whole Jesus thing before and it didn't work out for me. I tried that whole tithing thing before and God didn't show up and transform my finances. I've tried that going to church thing before and God didn't show up and do what I thought that He should do in the timing that I thought that He should. And so that didn't really work for me, but it's not by your strength. And that's good news for you this day. It's by His Spirit, said the Lord. It's by His Spirit. And so when you live for Him, you don't have to measure up to this facade of perfectionism. I don't know about you girls, but I'm sick and tired of a facade of perfectionism. I'm sick and tired of trying to measure up to traditionalism and legalism and religion. I need to have an encounter with the King. That temporary circumstance doesn't define you. Too many of us are living in the temporary circumstance and it becomes the definition of who we are. That thing that happened to us becomes who we are. And our stank attitude that we carry with us, everybody else has to pay for. That stank attitude, that bitterness, that offense, you mad somebody said something to you even though they're telling you the truth. So can't have any friends in your life because when they tell you the truth, all of a sudden you mad at them. You got to get a whole new set of friends. Or you get mad at the pastor because the pastor tells you the truth and all of a sudden you got to change churches because you don't like the way that church does things and maybe they're not handling their money right. Let's just get real in here. You got to have an encounter with the King. And that's what I have to have in my life too. There's no exception to somebody standing up here with a microphone. There's a lot of times in my life that I've prayed for God to show up and do things and it didn't look like I thought that it should. There's some things that you are believing God for today. He's going to answer those things in your life, but He's not going to answer in the way that you think that He should. In fact, one day you're going to thank Him that He didn't answer in the way that you thought that He should today. Have there been times when you've been outside of church when you felt like because you've messed up so much that you weren't even worthy to be in the presence of God? There have been times when we are so ashamed of what we've done and we're so embarrassed about what we've done that we don't even feel like we can come back to church because they're going to talk about me. We don't feel like we can come back to church because maybe I've had a baby outside of marriage or maybe I've gone through a divorce or maybe I went through 2 divorces and so I don't fit in there anymore. That's a word for somebody in this house today that you can come back to Jesus over and over and over again. Because the grace that saved you yesterday is the same grace that's showing up for you today, and it's the same grace that will be good for you tomorrow as well. I don't know about you. If I've been praying for something for about 10 seconds and God ain't shown up and done it, I start getting real desperate. I start doing things like going to church 7 times a week. I start looking for opportunities to serve. I'm like, well, Jesus must want something different from me. I start fasting. I start praying in tongues. I'm praying all the time without ceasing because I need Him to show up in my life. But Jesus doesn't need any help from me. He doesn't need any help from you. There are times in your life when your strength is going to show up, but it won't look anything like you think that it should. When we begin to shift, when we begin to get a heavenly perspective, when we begin to understand that our life has nothing to do with us, but it has a whole lot more to do with bringing Him glory, the stories that we have are about giving Him honor and praise and developing a testimony. Once that thinking shifts, all of a sudden we're walking in strength. All of a sudden we're walking in authority. There are things that we're going to be able to do because we see things differently. We see our lives as not just a temporary existence where we merely survive, but we see ourselves as set upon heavenly things. We begin to see all of the things that God's done in our life, and if He never did another thing for you, if He never did another thing for you, He's already done enough. And then all of a sudden, we're not worried about being single anymore. We're not worried about being a mom anymore. We're not even worried about those things. We're worried about how we can make an impact for Christ.